So that's an aside, but I thought about that sparks through stubble, her just being about so many things. Before the burdens of life and health issues weighed Dorothy down, she was always doing something creative with her talents. This parish community here has been blessed for 42 years with her gift of music at the organ. Father Jim Hoffman was filling in on Sunday here for Father Patrick, and he said this at the end. He made this comment. He said, 42 years. He said, wow. He said, just think of her fingers moving over those keys and the millions of notes that she played for the glory of God and the good of this community. That was just a wonderful line of thought. And so the first year that I was here, Dorothy played every Saturday and Sunday, every time, every holy day, holiday, all of it, every funeral. She never, ever, ever missed. I mean, this went on for some years, and I thought, wow, this is amazing. And then, of course, your dad's health started changing things with his dementia and his struggle, and her having to be a little more flexible, which wasn't obviously so easy for her, but she rose to that occasion of, helping him in all the ways that she did. And then so we see a little more absence, and then with her health, it became a little more all the time. But before that, she never ever missed. I think this past summer, she really came to the realization, because she played in April yet, and then she came to the realization she was never going to be able to come back to play anymore. So that one of the hardest things she had to give up in these last years. She said, because she would say to me, if I don't have my music, what do I have? And I thought, isn't that something, but I thought, if we don't have your music, what do we have? Quit forgetting about, think about you, Dorothy, but think about us. But it came to that. And so she turned in her music, and she settled into that next stage of her life. At one point, I understand that one of our priests who served here, I'm not going to mention his name, but he said something, made a comment about how musicians, church musicians, and congregations can really drag the tempo of music. Well, Dorothy took that to heart. She never played things slow. You could not slow her down. If it was a slow piece of music and it should be slow, it's like it's just trying to rein her in like the horses that were on the run. But I loved it. I thought, boy, she is one determined lady. If you gave her something, she stuck with it. Or we could say stubborn, but determined does sound more, does that sound better? Yeah. All this music, as I mentioned today, is what she chose. And she chose it very purposely. I mean, she loves the melodies of these songs, but she also felt there's a message. And so, as you listen today, these are things that I think she wanted us to hear of how God would speak to us today through the music of her funeral. She thought as you might know, if there was something she thought needed to be said, she said it. When it was Bill's care, she didn't worry if she made friends at those facilities where he was at. She was concerned about his care. That was utmost. And in other ways, she would speak her mind. Sometimes that was a little bit challenging for all of us, huh? But at the same time, he certainly knew where he stood with her and what she was about. But she was also a wonderful communicator in writing. I remember reading her biography that she had written when I first came. She autobiography of her life and her family, and boy, what an insight she gained into who she was and where she came from and all of that, and it was really put together so beautifully. And then she's been our sunshine lady for the Altar Society, which is the person who sends out cards and notes of encouragement and calls people, and she did all that. But she didn't just send out any old cards. She'd start writing little poems in these cards, and sometimes she'd sketch a little something and add that to the person's card to make that really a special thing for them. Another spark of stubble was her cooking and her baking. We might forget because these last few years she hasn't been up to par for that, but before that, lemon bars for every funeral, all kinds of delicious bakery for St. Anne's Altar Society bake sales here. Pierogies and glumki, that's the best I can say in Polish. My apologies to those who know those words better. But wonderful things would be sent over, shared, and and you guys as family got to enjoy those meals. here's another aside. Most of us were very nervous cooking for Dorothy. Just so you know, I don't know if you knew that, but we were. You know, so she needed soup, and if you put too much chicken in the chicken soup, she'd let you know. Soup was not meant to be. She liked soup. I figured out she liked soup that was more brothy. You know, so it's like, don't make it like heavy stew. You know, she all of that. It was just it was fun, but also interesting. You know. I didn't cook for her. I just thought, forget it. I'm not doing that. One other little aside was when they were out of power. This is probably it might have been about 2 years ago. My mom was with me dealing with health issues, and it was right around Christmas, and the power had gone off all day, and she was without power, and it was getting colder and colder. So we'd been on the phone because she had a landline. We talked on the plug-in phone. And so I went over and picked her up, brought her over, warmed her up. She brought her own food. She wouldn't eat my cooking. She brought her own. She didn't want to be a bother. The truth was, she didn't want to be a bother of the night. Which you all know that's kind of funny in its own way. Because I already was running around 3 ways to get her settled in and all that. We brought an overnight bake because we didn't know if the heat was going to come on. But I remember her and my mom sitting in the living room and then at the dining room table, eating our own foods, you know, but just that time spent. And I thought, what a precious gift, because my mom was really feeling awful at the time. And so her coming in was kind of just a bright spot. And I thought, isn't that those sparks through stubble? Her light that was shining quite often in a variety of ways. And in that second reading, St. Paul says to the people of Corinth, what is seen is transitory, what is unseen is eternal. And I was thinking about Dorothy as an artist and how she had an ability to see things in different ways. Family's displayed a few of her pieces of art today, and I've got several of them in my home, both watercolors and oils. Some were gifts from her, and a couple of them I won on bids on fundraisers. She was getting very generous of giving those things away that she still had, and she did that, I think, for many years to various fundraisers. So I've been on a couple, but the two that she gave me, one is a collage of chickens, of all little like snapshot paintings of these chickens, and there's chicks, and there's a rooster, and there's a variety of different hens. And her whimsy and clarity, she titled it The Congregation. I mean, it's just wonderful, you know? And there are all breeds in the congregation, by the way, so and she was right. Then there was another one, she did caricatures, as some of you have those, and she did one of me playing my guitar, and there's this chicken at the organ. And you know, just those beautiful, fun, I think these last part of her life has been really difficult, you know, the health issues and the stuff that was going on. Sometimes you forget how much fun she could be, because it wasn't so much fun this last part for her, you know. But there was a lot of humor, and there was a lot of laughter and smiles with her. The other paintings I have, one's a watercolor of beautiful flowers, and then the other one is an oil of an elderly woman on a farm with the barn, and there's chickens in the yard, of course, and all that. And this woman's in purple, and she's just gazing out. And it's just beautiful. It's like a beauty in the eye of the beholder when you look at those works of art that she did. And I thought about that, and I thought her way of seeing things as an artist brought a lot of beauty, appreciation, laughter, and joy to many people. Just a few of her gifts, I think, that I share with you today, and her desire to make a difference. In the Gospel, Jesus prays such a beautiful prayer. He says, I think this prayer is for Dorothy and for all of us. He says, Father, my disciples are your gift to me. Dorothy was a gift of Jesus to us. You and I are also called to be Jesus' disciples and to do what he asks of us. So when we allow Jesus to work in us, when we allow God to work in us and through us, and when we embrace that love that he has for each of us, his love, his goodness, will shine forth, will pour forth. We'll make a difference in our lives and in the lives of those around us. My last visit with Dorothy was on Christmas Day at the hospital. She had gone in, I think, the day before Christmas Eve morning. And so on my way after church services, I stopped in before, as I was heading to my family, and I spent just a little time with her. She was feeling pretty wiped out, but we spent a little time, and I had a real specific conversation. First of all, is she going to be at peace with not going home, because we knew it couldn't happen anymore. And she's the one who, the first thing that came in the room, she said, I'm not going to be able to go home anymore. She knew it, you know, and she accepted at the point, and thank God she did at that point, because I know family was very concerned. And she said, I'm not going to be able to go home. I wonder where I'm going to be. I hope I don't have to go to the nursing home. You know, that was like, you know, and we knew that there was an opening at Seasons of Life right then in that moment, but maybe there would be, you know. And we talked a little more, and she said she was afraid of what was, or anxious, we use that word anxious, about what was to come. You know, what kind of health struggles and all this with this cancer and such, what's next? You know, so where she was going to go and what was yet to come caused her anxiety. And so we took that to the Lord. And we prayed together about those fears and asked God for his assurance and his courage and his comfort and his peace, that he would give her those gifts, and that she would know that Jesus was with her through it all. And then she received Holy Communion. And then just a couple days later, David, you called and said, Mom had died, and I was stunned, you know. And I thought to myself, the later, and you know, she got her prayer answered. She got to go to Seasons of Life. She didn't have to go to the nursing home. Beautiful, beautiful facility. Only there a day and a half or so. She got all her, most of what she wanted in her room and all that set up and everything, and made it her final home in a sense here on earth. And then she didn't have to suffer anymore. She just died peacefully. Well, what a gift that was that God gave her and you and us, really, to know that. And so while there's certainly a sense that, boy, I wish we had more time with her, even after 89 and a half years, I wish there was more time with Dorothy. It's a gift that he took her home as he did. Jesus, I think, is there for us so often if we can see what's unseen. If we can see below the surface, to see the beauty, the joy, the goodness, even in the midst of the challenges that are brought into our lives. There is goodness, there is joy, there is love, there is tenderness, even in the midst of frustration sometimes as you tried to care for your mom. God's grace, God's mercy, his blessings are there. And I think we come today then to celebrate the life that he gave her here on earth. But we are also here to pray for the life that is yet to come. To pray that she shares in that life, and to pray that we too will share in it one day. So I guess my final word is thank you, Dorothy, for bringing, I don't know, so much life and love and challenge to us. You are truly a gift. You'll be missed, but you'll always be remembered with love.